I'm going to take a very calculated guess here that probably every one of you uses the thumbs forward grip on your weapon. Yes? Like this? Is there anybody here who does not use this grip? So, that grip, the thumbs forward grip, is not a combat grip. It's a sport, target shooting, competition grip. The principles behind that grip encourage, enhance, and support shooting principles to get as much real estate on that weapon as possible. That is what it's there for. So you have more control over the weapon, minimizing recoil, getting better accuracy. Okay? Everybody's familiar with that purpose behind the grip? Yes? Oh. This grip, it's for sport shooting, it is not for real life. And let me explain why. The most important fundamental, first and foremost, I talked about 2 stages that any shooting principle, any shooting system has to address. The first stage is the positive 5. It's again, when an officer gets the notion that there's a threatening environment, what's he or she going to do? They're going to be here. All they have to do is this and squeeze the trigger. Okay, we understand that. That's easy, pack it up, get rid of it. Everybody will succeed in that predicament. The second stage is where the weapon is here, holstered up, and we're talking to a threat, and all of a sudden rounds are flying at us, and we have to now reach, grab the weapon, deploy it, and now engage. That is the biggest problematic one. That is where police officers get killed in this country. Everything we do has to be the most optimal in congruency with both of those stages. This grip here, thumbs forward, is a grip that requires 2 hands in order to facilitate the grip. Both hands have to be involved to complete this grip, right? Okay, with one hand missing, we don't have a full grip. We have too much of an opening on the weapon. This hand has to fit into this hand like a puzzle to complete the proper grip. Let me ask you this. If I had you guys dangling off of a cliff, all right? 10,000 high up cliff. Nothing under your feet, but the ground 10,000 feet below. And you're holding on like this. And if you mess up on your grip, you slip, you fall right to your death. First of all, who here would be afraid? Yeah, any person who's normal and who's honest will put their hand up to that question. All of us would be afraid because that's a scary situation. Your hands will be gripping. Okay, watch my hands. Will they be gripping like this? Will they be gripping like this? Just fingers hanging on? Or will they be gripping like this? Which one? 1, 2, or 3? 3. Why 3? Because death awaits us if we fuck up. And that is scary for any human, correct? And you'll use every single part of your body naturally, the best way that you know how, with every fiber of muscle that you have, to make sure that when life and death is in the balance here, your body will not fail you. So we're standing like this now. -5. Rounds start flying at us. Is that as scary as dangling off of a cliff 10,000 feet up? I would say yes, because life and death is in the balance. It's the same. We're going to be afraid? We're going to be afraid. When your hand reaches for its gun, are you going to produce it like this? Or the second that your hand makes contact with the gun, are you going to be like this? This is what you're going to be. I promise you that. I don't think so. I know so. Because we are facing the realities of life and death right now. Not the stress of a range, the stress of life and death. And you're going to be grabbing on like this. Every single muscle is going to be engaged. Now, if your shooting is based on this, meaning that you have to grip your gun and produce it in a fashion that will allow for the secondary hand to enter, to complete the grip. If this is what your muscle memory is based on, if this is what your accuracy of shooting is based on, and all of a sudden rounds are flying and you grab the gun like this, when you bring it up, what's going to happen to the grip now? Is it compromised? Yes. You're going to be in a brand new predicament here that you have never introduced any muscle memory to, or never solidified any muscle memory to. This hand will be in a foreign predicament now that has nothing to do with what your body is used to and with what you know. Will it affect my shooting? It will. This is a grip. Right here. A grip is one-handed. It doesn't mean we shoot with one hand. You understand the difference? The grip is one-handed. Number one, for that reason, because as soon as I make contact, as I go to produce my weapon, that grip has to already be there, and naturally, instinctively, in the -5, it will already be there. This hand is a support hand. That is its purpose. It's simply to support. It introduces itself in a manner that is going to support what we need to do. That's number one. Any questions on that so far? Weapons out for a second. In your grip, your thumb's forward grip, on target, I want you to focus on the face of the target. Go ahead, get behind your sights, focus on the face of the target. Weapon up. Okay, listen, two hands in your grip that you're used to. When I tell you to go ahead, you're going to start pulling that trigger. You're going to start to shoot, and you're not going to stop. Repeatedly, you're going to keep on shooting. When I say one hand, all you're going to do is you're going to keep on shooting, but you are going to remove your support hand as you continue to engage. When I say two hands, you're going to continue to shoot, but reintroduce your second hand. Everybody understand? Simple enough, right? Okay, stay focused on your target. Weapons up in your grip. Go ahead and start to engage. Engage, engage. Work the trigger. Work the trigger. Work. Don't stop. No, don't rack. Just keep squeezing the trigger. Don't worry about action right now. Don't rack. Drop your slides forward. And just squeeze that trigger. One hand. Squeeze that trigger. Two hands. One hand. Good. Two hands. One hand. Two hands. Okay, stop. Holster up. Okay. So, here's what happens. There's two things. More than 50% of you in here, and like this. And then all of a sudden we call one hand. What happens to this thumb? Why does it go down? Because this is a natural grip. And then we say two hands, and you do this. Less than 50%, when we say one hand, keep the thumb up here, which number one, is this realistic in a gunfight? If you're shooting with one hand, would you have half a grip on a gun? No, you would do this naturally. However, let's assume for whatever reason that you did. When this happens, you know what starts to happen? You get all this movement on the thumb. Now, pause for a sec. A gunfight is a fight. It's dynamic. Everything changes. What you are doing and what you need to do will keep on changing back and forth. You might start out with two hands on the gun, and you're in the middle of an engagement, and all of a sudden you need one hand. You have to stop a door from closing. You have to open a door. You got to pull people out of the way. You got to stop somebody from running into your line of fire. You got to get on your radio. You got to get a flashlight. You have to reload. So you keep on going back and forth. And if you're going back and forth and your grip, your primary grip, hand, keeps on changing, is that going to affect your shooting? Yes. Every tiny little movement of the hand or the gun translates to a much greater disposition of where that round will actually impact the further we open up the distance. Everybody understands that, right? So if I'm doing this on the gun, or this as I'm shooting, is it going to affect the gun? Is it going to affect my shooting? Yes. This is a grip. Whether this hand comes or goes, does not affect the grip. That's 2. Last point, number 3. If we take this grip, the thumbs forward grip, okay, what kind of shooting do we have to do to succeed and survive and recover in a -5? Point shooting or instinctive shooting, okay? Well, we don't get to choose. In a -5, you will point shoot. You will point shoot. You can't argue that. It's a fact. Officers point shoot. That's why under 19%, because sights don't exist in the -5. That is our recovery method. We have to point shoot effectively and quickly so we can recover, transition to a +5, so we can hopefully get to the point where neurologically we have no tunnel vision and we have time to get behind the sights and get that accurate shot. Ever understand? So we have to point shoot. The thumb's forward grip is an uneven grip. Our support hand is further forward than our dominant hand. It already creates a disbalance in the position of the hands. When we have that disbalance in the hands, it creates disbalance in the gun. We have a push-pull dynamic. Because my support hand is so much further out, as I begin to extend my shooting hand, it starts to push as my support hand automatically pulls. Under stress, you will not be able to control gross motor skills, let alone fine motor skills, correct? You will not be thinking about alignment properly, like it is on the range, where I can allow for this micro bend that happens in the shooting arm. Okay, support arm is going to be locked out straight, but there's always this micro bend in the shooting arm, right? That is where that push-pull comes from. Under stress, you're going to be punching everything you have out to the threat. And so now, when you're not thinking about this micro bend and ensuring that there's no disruption of the gun, you get this. See what happens to my muzzle? As this hand is pulling, and I continue to push with this hand, and I'm not controlling this dynamic, I have a misalignment. This grip is not conducive to point shooting, realistically under stress. Our hands are doing this. This is the alignment. Take your hands for a sec. Everybody sees the base knuckles of your thumb? I want you to connect them. Keep them glued. Okay? This is the foundation of our grip. Take your shooting hand, just make a fist, as if you've got your gun in there. And the support hand, just wrap it around. What you will find is that your middle knuckles of the support hand will roughly cover the middle knuckles of the shooting hand. Now, if you open your hands for a sec again, like this, keep the base of the knuckles together, just go into a prayer motion for a second, a prayer position like this with your hands, okay? Point your hands out. All right. We feel how symmetrical everything is. There's no push-pull, correct? You have a perfectly symmetrical triangle. It's nice and comfortable. If you push out with both hands as far as you want, it doesn't affect the symmetry, okay? When we now create that grip again, with our hands simulated, and we push out with both hands, it's symmetrical. When our hands, our arms, our shoulders are symmetrical, no matter how hard we're pushing, the gun remains in one place, aligned with the body. Everybody understand? That is our grip. This hand will already be in that grip. This hand, base knuckle connects, and we just wrap around, and this thumb just sits, folds over top of my shooting hand thumb. This is symmetrical. Doesn't matter how hard I'm pushing out. I always have the symmetrical triangle through here. Any questions on that? I will encourage you guys, especially in a training environment, that is the time to try new things. I will encourage you guys to work with this grip for the next 2 days because our focus here is reality. I'll encourage you guys to try to be congruent with that and take the opportunity of a training environment to try new things and try shooting with it, and then decide afterwards whether you keep it or you don't, okay?